It's hard to argue against something that is proven to be better for your health, better for the planet, and better for the economy. In a world that seems obsessed these days with fidget spinners and Donald Trump tweets, I think we're focused on the right topics.
From what I understand, we have today enough food to feed the world. Part of it is distribution of food and all of that. But if everybody stopped eating meat, the calorie supply would increase 50% for humans pretty quickly, which means access would also be easier because there would be just more food for people. So to me, the more we can shift to plant-based, the less land we're using for animals, the less water we're using for the animals, and the more food we can grow for people, which may sound a little strange, but also the more land we can have to preserve various species of wild animals. We're destroying the habitat of animals so rapidly to use it for animal agriculture.
So the resources that we use to create the animal-based products are not sustainable. And that's how we shift this, right? The first one is think about the resources that we use to produce animal-based products. And simply if you look at the resources, start doing the calculations, as I mentioned with beef is a great example, 5,000 gallons of water, 17 kilos of grain. You just look at the 17 kilos of grain it takes to produce 1 kilo of beef. That in itself doesn't make sense. The other side of it is when you start looking at the globalization of the food system and what we've actually done with our food system and some of the companies that are destroying civilizations and really communities around the world so they can sell products at a cheaper price, whole different conversation, whole different dialogue, but again, things that you need to be aware of. My favorite company to pick on this past year has been Starbucks. What Starbucks pays their farmers? 14 cents to 17 cents a kilo. All of their farmers around the world are all living in poverty. They can't send their kids to school. They can't have housing because Starbucks is raping and pillaging these people around the world.
Hi, I'm Daniel from Just Tea. Just Tea is based in Vancouver, BC. We work with a group of farmers in Kenya. It's a rural Kenya in Western Province. And what we do is we set up the farmers to make the tea on their own farm.
So we are a loyal coalition. And our clothing line consists of eco-fabrics and working with sustainable fabrics to help decrease our carbon footprint. So we work with bamboo fabric and recycled fabrics that are manufactured within North America and just trying to do better for the world.
I would say that if we want to end world hunger and we want to increase people's health and vitality, we need to feed them the right things.
Beans, lentils, tempeh, tofu, seitan, protein powder, quinoa, sprouts, all kinds of good stuff out there, and getting enough protein is never an issue.
So the other thing is that we have a lot of studies showing that people that consume 20% plus of their calories from protein actually have much higher incidence of mortality, of diabetes, of heart disease, of cancer. Oh, but only if that protein comes from animal products. So when it comes from plant foods, we don't see that increased risk. And so I think the studies are really, really good. And then if you look at how much protein people actually need, it's low. And plant foods, if you think it's 10 to 15% of calories we need from protein, well, legumes, the average omnivore, it's probably closer to 18 or somewhere closer to the 20%, which is getting in the area of increasing cancer risk and all of that, which may be about 8 to 12. But almost all plant foods are above, or in that range of 10 to 15. So the average vegan eats about 11 to 15% of calories from protein, exactly within that range. I'm really concerned about the future, to be honest. We've got a lot of people on this planet and a finite number of resources. And the population is growing. And we have to be, as human beings, more conscious of our use of all of these resources, from the plastic we use, the type of food we use. And I think that as people, if we, at least, even if we're not going to become vegan or vegetarian, if we shift as much as possible to a diet that's more focused on plant-based foods like they do in the blue zones, and we are just really conscious of where that food is coming from and the consequences of our choices for the people that are growing the food and trying to select more locally grown. These are all things we can do, and growing a bit of our own food, if possible, is another really important step. The more we can grow ourselves, the better. But I think those are the big things, and just to be really conscious, even if you eat local meat, it's not nearly as efficient and ecologically as eating transported plants. And a lot of people think, oh well, I buy local meat, but where did the feed come from? 4,000 or 8,000 miles away. So you don't always factor those things in. The bottom line is we need to be more conscious human beings. We need to recognize that our choices have consequences beyond ourselves. And every choice we make, and I mean, it's not just in the food we eat, it's in everything that we buy. And the most important is to reduce our use of things and be less inclined to be sort of that consumer mentality of having to replace instead of, reuse and reduce. I'm convinced that there's nothing we could do that would have a more powerful impact on the environment, on human hunger, and on human health than adopting a plant-based diet. And I think the evidence is really overwhelming for that.
And undefeatable.
Yes, exactly.